Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Well, Satsangaji, it's always great privilege, great honor that we have this time to share with each other and to understand that in these times that we're living in, the shifting of the times, the changes that are happening, it's important that we look inside of ourselves to understand what is happening. We have that concept of Naam. We say Satanam to each other. We greet each other Satanam, Vaheguru, Satanam. What is that Naam, that understanding of the Naam? Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the founder of the Sikh faith, talked about Naam, that vibration, was what created the entire structure of all that exists. So that Naam ourselves comes down into the individual. And to me, that Naam means that personal identity. So Naam is that identity which is personal to me. So each of us has that personal identity. Personal identity means that we have that way of understanding within ourselves what that reflection is in this world that we live. So everything that is taught is about looking inside. And when that identity of the self is vibrated through Sat means that which is true, in my own identity, to understand that within myself so that I can progress in life. So when we talk about the devotion to the Nam, that Nam is that vibration of the self in the identity of this entire universe. How each of us understand that and how each of us relate to that as we go forward in this life. Because each of us are navigating, we can call that navigation to some degree our destiny. We want to reach a destination. So we're navigating through this life to reach a certain destination. We can say destiny, a certain destination. And we determine what is that destination that we want in our life. Some of us may think, well, that destination is just we should find that spirituality, live that spirituality. Others may say, well, my destination is I just want that success in life. Maybe it's a combination of all those different parts of us because we live in this world, we do commerce in this world, we work in this world, we create in this world. So the Nam, that understanding of what is that personal identity, how do I personally identify myself through the vibration of the Nam? When we meditate, do Simran, Vaheguru, Vaheguru, Satnam, Satnam. When we do any mantra to meditate, Ek Onkar, Satanam Kartapurt, Nirbo Nirvera Kalabur is when we do the mantras that bring us into that sense of what it is within ourselves. Because everything that happens in life as we go through life and we're patterned in a certain way that starts at childhood. And all that patterning is all affected in that frontal lobe of our brain, which then gets patterned into certain ways of behavior. So, how do we shift that patterning? There may be some of those patterns that don't serve us in that relationship to that identity and reaching that destination. So, in the course of navigating to that destination, many different things can happen. We can fall flat, we can stand tall, we can be warriors, we can be saints, we can be both, we can do all those things. But those patterns then that are created that don't serve that interest of us that bring us into the identity of self because we're not really taught how to understand what is my identity in this world. What is that Nam, that vibration of the self in the Sat, in the truth, so that it can vibrate back and reflect back to me to help me reach that destination. So we meditate, we vibrate, we do Bhat, we read Bani, we do that which brings into our life that which gives us a dimension of that understanding. To realize that it's not outside of us, everything, but that everything is inside of us. To go inside of ourselves to have a deeper sense of what is my identity, who I am, what I am, where do I want to be. Some may just like, I just want to be peaceful and calm and live a calm, peaceful life. Others may say, I want to reach out, teach out, be with others, share with others. And the vibration of that identity, we talk about Sangat, we talk about community vibration, that together we merge those identities with each other. Any union is a merging of the identity of the self. If that self is based at the soul level, the Atma, that from our soul that we have that base of that understanding, then those sangats, those relationships are going to flourish. Because the relationship is that relationship to each other's soul, to the soul of each of us. We have community, we have spiritual community, we call that sangat, satsangat, that congregation that congregates in the truth of the Naam, of the vibration, of the identity which exists within each of us to merge together in Vaheguru, 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 in the vibration of the wonder of the transformation of that which pulls us in this life. That's why it's so important we say Naam Simran. Simran means that recitation. Naam is to recite that mantra, that sound vibration, that sound current. We call that technology Shabad Guru, that vibration of that goes deep within our identity. That is the Naam. That identity of that is vibrated through the Shabad so that we have that experience to transform us. Guru means that which transforms. It takes us out of the darkness, out of that shelter into the light. That guru means that which is that darkness. Ru means that which is the light. To transform us and transform the consciousness so that those things that were recorded and patterned at a young age become repatterned within us. We can never change that patterning that happened, that molded and shaped us at very young ages. But we can repattern those responses so that we don't fail in life. Because anything that hasn't worked, or where we sabotage ourselves or destroy ourselves or become destructive in our behavior, we can't blame and say, well, that's because I was patterned that way, but it is true in many ways. But we also have the other side of that, which is the repatterning of that through the vibration of the Naam. This is the power of Naam Simran. This is the power of the vibration of why we every day practice and have our daily practice. In my daily practice begins with that which vibrates the Naam, and then the Shabads that then carry forward that help me to get a better view on what I need to shift in my life. So the consciousness then is connected to that. That wisdom is a simple wisdom. That word wisdom is simple. Wisdom means, did I command myself today? Am I commanding myself today? Because who's going to command me tomorrow? I have to command myself today that I can command myself into my tomorrow. Who's going to do that for me? That command is the vibration of the infinite light of you that lives in you, that God, that Guru, that infinite, that light, that vibration of the identity of the Naam within you that gives you that command of your life. When we lose command of that life, how do we lose command of that life? When that ego and that other parts blend into it and we then sabotage that. And the biggest fear is that sabotage. So, two things that take us away from that internal understanding, one we call ego, and the second one is the fear. Most of the time, we live our life fear based. Well, this happened to me before, therefore I have to protect this. This has gone in this way, therefore. And that fear that we have, the underlying fear, of course, is that fear of death. That's the number one fear. So, how do we then learn how to bring that wisdom of the command of the self? A wise person is simply that person who can have that command of self. Then blend that with your consciousness, blend that with your meditative mind, blend that with all parts of you, bring that wisdom to understand the concept of I am who I am. And as the Naam vibrates within us, that personal identity of self becomes understood. Each of us has to determine that. We can talk with each other, we can share with each other, but ultimately you face yourself every day. And when we face ourselves in our clarity, using that wisdom of the self, of saying within myself and my mind, that today am I commanding myself, or is that fear or that ego or those old patterns commanding me? when those fears and those old patterns command you, then life is give and take. Life is, maybe I'll make it, maybe I won't make it. So it's very important to understand that concept of the personal identity and how you identify yourself. This is what Guru Nanak Dev Ji taught how to have that. He gave us the teachings in this faith belief, gave us those teachings to understand the self in relationship to the world in the vibration of the Naam, to be able to walk clearly and feel clear within ourselves and have that clarity and that purpose of life. Is simple, but it's difficult to sometimes make that shift, because we get drawn back into those old patterns, those old ways of being, those old ways of life. So we want them to do what? We want to bring that wisdom of that command of self, understand what is the self identification through the Naam that vibrates in my heart and in my soul. That relationship is to the heart, and that relationship is to the soul. So that life then is this journey. That's why I say don't become depressed in life, become impressed in life. Yeah, we go through many valleys and hills and trails and disasters and these things and calamity and challenges. That's part of what that journey of life is. There's not one of us that can say, well, it has been perfect, I've never made a mistake. This is not true. There's not one person. But now in this age, we're talking about that understanding of forgiveness within the self, tolerance within self, self-understanding, that self-relationship. That God, that Guru, that light doesn't live outside of me and somebody has to show me that light and take me to where that is. It's already inside embedded. Ek Om God, the oneness of this creation is created through the vibration of the infinite. That is, we say Ek Om God, that creative consciousness of the oneness of self identified through the Satnam, through the true identity of my own being vibrated. Ek Onkar Satnam Kartapur. Kartapur means that which does everything. So my identity of self in the consciousness of the oneness of being connected with my heart and myself is all under the command of the Kartapur, who created this, who formed it, who then gave me this opportunity, born into this life in this physical body as a gift, to understand myself through that, with my connection to the infinite consciousness which exists within myself and is vibrated through the Naam, the identity of self, to experience consciousness. So there's an exact way of understanding it, as I see it, as I learned from that, so that we can proceed and progress in life and create what is that identity within me. So we have to conquer those fears. Ego should serve that dimension of ourselves that is our reality, not our imagination, not our fantasy. If we live the life creating fantasy and imagination and imagining things to be, and getting involved in that fantasy, we call that Maya, then we lose the reality of living. And the reality of living should be enjoyed living. Enjoy living in the reality of self and walk that path clearly. And to me, that is the dimension of living. In that dimension of living, then as those challenges, progressions, all those things are happening, including dealing with my own past patterns, trying to repattern that, to shift that, is the joy of living this life, even if there is calamity or there's the highest of the high, the most beautiful bliss. Sure, I like to live in bliss all the time, be blissful, being the total vibration of the infinite, being samadhi all the time, but it's not true. So Siddhi Guru Granth Sahib Ji Maharaj gives that balance of the truth of self, which is constant. The constant self is given. And it's a constantly learning experience within. So it's something that is constant with us, and it's a constant learning experience, always, because we're feeling beings. We have senses, we have Panchtattva, we have five elements within us: air, earth, water, fire, and ether. So we're here on this earth. So you say, well, I'm sensitive, I feel things, I sense. Well, that's that part of being the earth element. That earth element exists within us. I'd like to be in the ethers and be out there and be flying all the time. But we have that element of that earth is within us. And that earth element, that relationship of the first chakra, that earth, right? That soul body is connected on this earthly plane. So we're going to have pushes and pulls and emotions, commotions, dramas, all these things are going to happen because that element of earth exists within us. We can't leave it. If we leave it, we fly out somewhere nobody can find where we are. So the simple message today is that simple message of what is my personal identity? How do I relate within myself in that personal identity to vibrate the Naam, that vibration of that current, of the technology of the sound vibration we call Shabad Guru. Shabad, Shabi, Shab means to cut, Biddi, Bud means cutting through that, cutting through the ego of that to reach that transformation. And that is through the meditative mind. So, what can follow is our happiness and our steadiness. Stable, strong, steady. Three elements: to be stable, to be strong, and to be steady. When within inside of ourselves we are stable, strong, and steady, then contentment will follow. That contentment will always follow our steadiness, our strength. That will always follow. Then we sustain ourselves through it. That's why it's so important to do our daily practice, our sadhana, to keep connected 24/7 in that vibration. Because we never leave the self. Doesn't matter what state we are, sleeping, waking, walking, talking. And our talking just isn't this verbal talk, we talk within our mind. We hear those words, we speak through our mind, we speak through our consciousness. We don't always speak the spoken word that is listened through our mouth. And through that, all that vibration, through that Shabad, that Anahat, that sound of the universe, that is unstruck sound, we call the Anahata within ourselves, is vibrated, which is the relationship to the sound of the universe. And that relationship of that sound of the universe is vibrated in our heart and soul. And the Anahata, the heart, opens to that. And when the heart can open to that, we can find peace within ourselves and share that peace with others. The time of blaming and complaining is finished in this life. We don't have the time to blame and complain. There's a saying, if you live to blame and complain, you'll die to blame and complain. That is finished in this Aquarian age. Is replaced by tolerance, acceptance, forgiveness, non-judgmental, and moving forward together in unity and overcoming our differences to see what is the same within each of us. And as that consciousness grows, which it is growing, those who don't want to grow with that will be left behind. Those who are fighting it, both internally and globally, who fight it will be uncomfortable. And those who are on the front line of this, who are going through this shifting, who in many times can be attacked by that, have to be strong, steady, and self-sufficient within oneself. And to understand that it is a blessing that we have, that we shall be carried across this ocean of life and be successful and not fall to the, say, misunderstanding of self. So let us be strong in that understanding. Let the vibration of the Naam be with us very clearly. Let that personal identification of who I am within me be vibrated into the entire realm of the universe through the power of Nam Simran, through the power of meditation and the meditative mind. So let us continue on this journey. Let us continue to pray for peace in this world and peace with each other. Let us find that peace with each other. There's a way through every block that we have to find. And when we can find with each other that way through every block, no matter what that is, but find that way through it, because the movement of the planets, the universe is moving towards that future of enlightenment for all people and tolerance and acceptance, which shall, my belief is, shall happen. It may take several generations. We don't know how much, but the vibration is already set and the changes are already happening. So let us be strong in that, be impressed with this life, and to reach out and teach out to help all people to overcome our own difficulties and to help people through their difficulties. This is the time of seva, of sharing, of giving. This is a time to let go of our past and look at what is our tomorrow, where we can walk together in strength, in commitment, and in unity, in the vibration of Satanam, the true identity of the self within the self. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.